everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Work With It podcast. On today's episode, I'm interviewing one of my good friends, Somya Prakash. She's not only a good friend of mine, but she's also my big in my fraternity, and we're going to be talking about her journey to a healthier and happier lifestyle. She is one of the most inspirational people that I know in my life, and honestly, a great role model. So I'm excited for you guys to hear this podcast. Before I get started with this episode, I do want to preface that because of our stay-at-home order here in Michigan, Somya and I were not able to record in person, so we conducted our podcast interview over Zoom. So if the audio is not the best, that is partially why, but I promise that there's great content in this episode and that you guys will really love it. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So, hi guys, my name is Raquel and welcome back to another episode of Work With It. Today, I have my friend Somya to talk about healthy lifestyles, how to be happy in your life. And I honestly think that this is going to be a super fun podcast and I hope that you guys enjoy. So, would you like to go ahead and give a little description about yourself?
Yes. Hey, everyone. This is Somya, and I'm super excited to be here with Raquel. First of all, I'm so proud of her for literally being that person that walks the walk and follows her dreams. So boom, that's exciting. But just like a little background about myself. I'm 24 years old. I almost forgot my age for a second. 24 years old, working in corporate America. And that's kind of like my, 9 to 5 type of deal. But then outside of that, I'm really passionate about health, preventative medicine, self-growth and things like that. So I'm really excited to touch on a few of those things today.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first question is when did you realize that you wanted to start changing your habits? And when did you feel like you had to begin working towards this healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, good question. So there were a few moments. It wasn't really like a, straight path, but I would say definitely in college, because in high school I was super active. I was in sports. I played, 3, 4 sports, and I was always just outside. And I feel like it was almost easier to be active in high school because you had like a schedule. Everyone followed the schedule. You had a team. There was a lot of accountability. And, then you go into college and a lot of those extracurriculars got stripped away in terms of the physical extracurriculars. So I just found myself, falling into that, freshman 15, freshman 20. And it didn't feel good. And it wasn't me. And as I said, I wasn't just active in high school, but I've always been active my whole life. So to be in a system where I really was just going to class and hanging out in, different people's apartments and not really moving and eating things that my body wasn't used to eating, considering I always really ate homemade food. I felt the difference. And, and we can get into detail on that too, because as I said, that was more like in the beginning of college when I noticed that I wasn't treating my body right. But then even a couple years down, going into junior year, it really became something that, I started to question. I'm like, this is not me. My whole life, the 18 years prior to that, I was a pretty healthy person. And then to turn into someone who had really just fallen into, the norm, if you will, of, eating super late, not sleeping, and, just being around people, to be honest, that weren't themselves living a healthy lifestyle. And I think that definitely had an effect on me. So I think right towards, there was a factor that really did, give me a, kick of reality. And that was, I think it was back in 2017, I was diagnosed, if you will, with pre-diabetes. And that was really, really crazy because I had never had any, health complications before that. And, my MD told me, she's like, you're not moving, you're obviously not eating, because I had told her what my, lifestyle was like. And she had told me that, diabetes was something that I was on track for. So that was really, scary for me. My family does have a history of diabetes. So I always thought oh, it's hereditary. And then after that, I really just turned into a wizard and a nerd and started Googling everything that you could about diabetes, just to learn that it really is preventable, especially type 2 diabetes. And that's really when I was I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, I can actually reverse this. Like, I don't have to be on track to, the number three, like killing, disease in this country. So that's really when I, switched my lifestyle. And as I said, it wasn't something that like I hadn't thought about before. The lifestyle I was living for 4 years in college just wasn't me, but I wasn't doing anything about it. And I think that, having, that appointment with my doctor and finding out something so like crazy about myself was definitely something that, you know, kind of revoked that, oh my God, like I love my body and I love my mind and I want it to like live for a long time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's pretty like, I feel like I'm the same way where like, I went to college. I was like a swimmer in high school. So I practiced all the time. And then I went to college and here I was like, eating like a bag of chips for dinner. And that was like definitely not the way to go. So
Yeah.
going off of that, how did you first start? What was your like first thing that you did?
So, in all honesty, I am a very like scientific person. I'm definitely someone who doesn't, especially when it comes to like my body, my health, even when I was unhealthy, I'm definitely not someone who takes like a blanket statement and just like goes for it, aka like bad diets and things like that. So, I really, kind of put myself to, study and I, read medical journals. I read a bunch of, research on how, the body, well, first I wanted to learn about diabetes. So I really, it's almost like I was like taking two, majors in college because I was a marketing major, but then at the same time, like I really was studying the human body and I was, reaching out to my friends who were in the medical field or in some sort of, health field and really like learning from them as well as my own father. And that's really when I learned a lot about not just my body, but like the human body in general. And I realized that all of these, food marketing tools that, tell us like, oh, fruit has sugar. If you're diabetic, like don't eat fruit. Or like if you're, diet, like all of these things were like literal lies, which was really hurtful to know that, someone who had no background in medical had to like go out and do all that research. But yeah, so that was my first step. And my doctor actually was someone who recommended that I cut out fruit and that I, exercise, at least 30 minutes a day. So I did the latter. I started, sweating and exercising, but the fruit part is what didn't make sense to me. And that's kind of when I started, researching, especially being from Indian culture, we eat a lot of fruit. And, diabetes is not prevalent in India with the folks that eat a lot of fruit. So that didn't like match up to me. So yeah, learned a lot about how our body, actually makes glucose, how our body actually needs carbohydrates, for energy, and then breaking those down. I actually took 2 nutrition classes right after that semester because I wanted to learn how food plays a role. So yeah, it didn't happen overnight. I started making, small changes. Again, I naturally did gravitate towards healthier foods in general, like as a person. So those 4 years in college really was, if you will, like me just falling into the whole, college diet and whatever. So I started getting back into fruit. I started having, a morning smoothie. I started going back to like what I knew. When I grew up, my grandparents would literally cut fruit every single morning, put it on the dining table, and we would literally wake up eating like pomegranate, cantaloupe, watermelon, apples. Like I was used to that. So I kind of just went back to the basics. And that was like the start. Again, it's been like 3-4 years now, so it's definitely a lot different, but just like little things like just looking at ingredients and really just making sure that the food tastes good at the same time. So there were a lot of things in the beginning, but I would say the number one thing is actually doing my research, actually talking to doctors, shadowing them, setting up meetings. I know that sounds crazy, but I am a nerd and I did that. I did all of that. I went to my university's local clinic where my friend does research on diabetes or some sub context of that, and learned from her. So a lot of research, and then just knowing like it's not about just being full, but it's about being full with like nutritionally dense foods that can literally like reverse the cycle of diabetes, heart disease, all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I definitely I mean, I'm learning a little bit here too about stuff because so my family is like we have diabetes in my family, and I feel like it's always told like don't eat too much sugar, stuff like that. You know, fruit is bad. You know, kind of stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting to understand. Moving off of that, I noticed that you kind of talked about like your misconceptions of different stuff. I know there's like so much information around health and so much information about how to be quote unquote healthy. And I feel like a lot of the times they're just kind of, I would say, like lies or like untruthful. What are some of the misconceptions that you've come across that you can kind of debunk here?
This is my favorite question because let me tell you exactly what I said earlier. Just there's so many, I mean, we're marketing majors. We know exactly how it works, especially food marketing is one of the biggest industries in the States. It makes one of the most monies right behind one of the most amount of money right behind the pharmaceutical company. So one of the biggest fallacies is that carbs are bad. Okay, even just like saying that out loud, it's just so funny to me. It's so funny how people, think that carbs are bad, which if you look, over, history, if you look in the Middle East, if you look at countries like India, some of the oldest countries in the world, a large staple of their diet is carbohydrates. And then also there's a lot of factors. Of course, they're more active. Of course, they're not, refined, and they're not, processed, and they're not necessarily complex carbohydrates or, white grain. But with that being said, I think this whole fallacy of carbohydrates being bad for you is a terrible one. Carbohydrates is also a group of foods. It's not one thing. So there's many forms of carbohydrates. There's carbohydrates in vegetables. Broccoli is a great form of complex carbohydrates. So I think marketing has really made us feel like carbohydrates is literally just like white bread and pasta. And I feel like that's really true for the Western world, but there's a lot of, carbohydrates that are really highly nutritional. Some of the popular ones are like quinoa, barley, chia seeds is a protein, but there's also carbohydrates in there as well. So yeah, that's like the biggest fallacy, for sure. What's another one? Oh my God, there's so much. Food labeling is a huge one. So anything that says like natural juice or like 100% orange juice, but then it's like not refrigerated, it's sitting in an aisle. Like, come on, guys, come on. There's preservatives in there. You look in the ingredients, there's preservatives. In the ingredient label, if it says natural flavors, if you actually look into what that encompasses, there's a lot of dirty garbage in there. So yeah, it is sad that the American population does have to do their own research, which I don't think is fair. I think like as consumers, we should be able to go and just know that like, our food system wants to, nourish us. But unfortunately, that's not the truth. And we do have to put that extra effort to make sure that we're not falling for these, like marketing lies.
Yeah, no, I think the one that I always heard of, wait, do you know who Kenzie Burke is?
I don't. Who is she?
Okay, so she's like one of like a Instagrammer slash also she's kind of like a health advocate, I would say, but she's really popular on like Instagram, and she has a YouTube channel, but she makes her own cookbook, and she really goes to the lengths of defining food combining and stuff like that. But she always talks about the fad of like saying things are natural versus saying things that are organic. And I know that you just touched on it, but I think it's really important for people to realize that like just because it says those words does not mean that it's truly that. A lot of the times it is just, just marketing. I guess that's something that we would know because of our marketing classes, but yeah, definitely interesting. Going off of that, outside of healthy eating, I know you talked about physical activity. Is there anything like with your mental health that has helped you like make yourself a more healthier lifestyle?
Definitely. So there's definitely three things for sure with this. The number one thing is, again, I'm going to bring it right back to science. So scientifically speaking, humans are adaptive and very, easily influenced, beings, in the sense of like, what if we're in a certain environment, we're going to adapt to that environment, right? So one of the biggest things with that is, statistics have literally shown that, we are, basically like a replica of the top three people that we hang out with or we talk to. So I would say, mentally wise is being, aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. So like, even right now, like I can say the top 5 people I talk to on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, every single one of them is conscious about their physical health. So, and that's not something like, I was like, oh, you want to be my friend? Like, check off this box. That's definitely not what happened. But I think like we tend to gravitate towards two types of people, the people that we aspire to be, and then the people that we already are. So I would say that would be the number one thing, is surrounding yourself with people that also understand the importance of health, or at least want to understand the importance of health. And then the second thing is physical activity is directly linked to mental health, right? I mean, there's so many benefits of, physically exerting yourself, even just for 30 minutes a day, lower chances of depression, anxiety, your stamina rises, your ability to pay attention more, is stronger. There's, your skin gets clearer. I don't even have a skin routine, but I realized that the past 3 years, ever since working out, my acne cleared up. You're obviously going to be drinking more water if you're sweating more. It's like there's just so many like good, effects of that on your mental health. You sleep better, and sleep is huge for mental health. So yeah, I would say that. And then also just, taking it easy on yourself and not comparing yourself to the person to your right, the person to your left, the person on Instagram, and that a health journey really is a journey. And I think a lot of people like bog themselves down because they see people on social media, or they see maybe a friend of theirs that is like doing something that they're like, I want to do it exactly like that. But you're a different person, and your journey is going to be different, and you don't want to stress out your body. You never want to stress your body or mind out. So not comparing yourself, surrounding yourself with people that you aspire to be, or at least are similar to, as well as just moving, like take the stairs, take a walk in the morning, just like our bodies have legs for a reason. Oh, your audio just went away.
Yeah. Sorry about that. On Zoom, if you mute yourself, it's like better for the recording because it focuses all of the recording on you. So now that I'm back.
Going for it.
Oh, no, you're good. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so forgot I was on mute. I feel like this happens every single conference meeting I'm ever in. But regardless, so I know that you talked a little bit about, surrounding yourself with people that you felt idealized what you want it to be and also what you are. Could you talk to me about, the best piece of advice, like either one of your friends gave you or just someone in your life gave you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The best piece of advice that I would say someone gave me would be, God, there's so much because people have a lot of good advice lately.
Yeah, feel free to give many.
Yeah, I would say one of the things that I really appreciated, and this was actually from my grandfather. He always used to say, that well, he would say it in different ways, but he would really say like appreciate the little things. And he was also someone who like walked the walk. So he was always someone like when I would go on morning walks with him, or like I would bike with him, he would like stop and like, like just like pay attention to like a squirrel, just like, like I don't know, like running around, or he would like pay attention to like the breeze. And he really was someone to like appreciate the little things. And I think just like moving that and relating that back to health, I think that that was such a great, mindset to grow up with, because with our health too, again, with society, we're such a fast moving, you know, generation. And it's really easy to like doubt yourself if you're in the gym for, I don't know, a month, 2 months, even a year, and you're like, I'm not seeing changes. And we're just so fixated on physically seeing changes, but we're not, paying attention to the little things. Like maybe if you're working out, your breathing is better. Maybe if you're working out, your appetite is better. And just really honing in on those little things, I think is like a really good advice that I've gotten. What else? Oh, this is a really good one, actually. One of my best friends always says this to me. She always says, if you have a large project, or if you have something really, really big that you want to accomplish, do it one step at a time. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I'm definitely someone who gets overwhelmed pretty easily. Like I overwhelm myself because I want to do like 100 things. And, like for example, like just cleaning my room was such a mess, like before this quarantine. And, literally she's like, just start with one drawer, and then don't do anything else for the rest of the day. Just start with one drawer, start with one corner of your room, and then just work your way to the rest of it. And I think, again, that goes back to even kind of what my grandfather was saying, was just focusing on the little things, because it's going to end up, fitting in the larger picture. So those are like two pieces of advice that I love, and I can really relate to health. It really is a journey, and it's not something that's like just about like muscle. Like I've grown mentally so much just from, caring about my own health.
No, yeah, those are great pieces of advice. Actually, I just thought of this question and I was thinking, could you tell me some like influencers that you are following that you like love to see on
Yes.
Instagram? I feel that like what you see on social media is really what you think about yourself and what you think about your life. And I think that you should always flood yourself with positive imagery and also positive social media. So what are some influencers that you follow that help you with that?
Sis, you're gonna have to put this in the description box because I have a ton, but I'll definitely give my top. And just to reiterate exactly, like I'm a big proponent for people that maybe don't like social media. Maybe they're just following the wrong accounts. Maybe they are spending too much time. I mean, I can definitely attest to that as well. But yeah, so my number, like 5 people, I would say. One is Dr. Khan, and I can like send this to you after, so you can put it in your description box. He's a cardiologist, and he's someone that, again, is like, he has really fun content, one, but it's also, backed by, research, and he's not always like black and white about things. Like he himself will be like, oh, like this is something I'm looking into. So his social media account I love a lot, and he has a podcast as well. So he'll get into different topics. Another one that I really love is, her name is Mimi Icon. She's an entrepreneur slash blogger, YouTuber, Instagrammer. She's originally from Toronto. Now she lives in London. And she just really speaks to positive mindsets. She'll have like, food recipes. She really kind of touches everything. How to start your own business. Like she's a really like, she's just a really cool cat. And then another one is Annie Jaffrey. She's a YouTuber. She also has an Instagram, but I follow her more closely on YouTube, and she's amazing. I love Nazanin Kavari. She's more of like a makeup vlogger. So I don't know if you guys like care about that stuff, but I do. And then definitely I would say like Kim Kardashian West is someone who I think everyone should follow, because she's, especially if you're looking for someone who really does like walk the walk and like juggles like 100 dreams all at once. I think that she's such a, great inspiration for like young women, young men, young people in general to really just like, push the status quo. She's definitely someone who is like super, super real. Like I love following people who like when they mess up, when they succeed, they like talk about it. I love following real people. So those are definitely like the top people that like influence, and like I look forward to looking to, their posts, and all of them coincidentally, yeah, they all like work out too. And like they post about that kind of stuff. So that's always like inspiring too. So yeah, and I can also like let you know more, but those are like my top for sure. Babe is really good too.
Sorry, could you say that again?
The Food Babe. She posts about, again, very similar to Dr. Khan, except she's more in like the public health and like, food labeling and nutrition, fallacies. And actually I think she does like research on, food labeling. And she's the one where I actually learned a lot about, the natural flavors coin, the organic coin, the non-GMO coin, like all of those like labels that are put in what they actually mean. So she's super cool, and her visuals are good. So it's not like just like a boring, like long read. So yeah, she's pretty cool too.
Yeah, those are great. Definitely send them over. I'll have those in the description below. So my very last question for you is, what is the best piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's trying to start this journey to a healthier lifestyle?
My best piece of advice is, the only thing that you need to get started, the only thing that's stopping yourself from starting is yourself. So just do it, take a walk. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to join a gym. I don't even think you can join a gym right now. They're all closed, again, follow people on Instagram. Just take little steps that are easy. Like don't make it so daunting. And just, it sounds so cliche, but truly people who believe in themselves do succeed. All the people that I just mentioned, all those Instagrammers, they all believe in themselves. They're all very confident people. And it's the people that don't believe in themselves that end up holding themselves back. So if you're trying to start out your health journey, read, like understand that the people like myself who do eat healthy, I'm one of the biggest foodies that I know. And I personally don't like the taste of a lot of processed food. It tastes super salty to me. A lot of it tastes like plastic. I also think I have like hyper taste buds. So it doesn't taste as good to me. So you don't have to be scared of eating healthy and losing flavor. Also understand that there's a lot of cultures like Indian food, Arabic food, Middle Eastern food that have a lot of healthy, foods that you can get recipes from on, YouTube, on the internet, and you don't have to just rely on like sandwiches and salads, which to me are pretty boring. So yeah, just, believe in yourself is the number one thing. If you don't believe in yourself, you probably might last like a month or two, maybe even a year, but it won't go further than that. And I think that like, again, your mental health is really important and like actually pushing you forward, whether that's a daily walk, eating one apple a day, like whatever the case is, like you have to believe in yourself. And that's like my number one advice.
Yeah, that's actually really great advice. And I 100% stand by that as well. You got to be confident with yourself if you want to achieve your dreams. So this is the end of the interview, but where could people find you on social media? How can they get in contact with you if they have further questions?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Somya_Prakash. That's SOM as in Matthew, YA _ P as in Paul, RAKASH. And then my YouTube is the same. It's just my first and last name, Somya Prakash. And I do post about, holistic medicine, holistic health, preventative medicine, fun things like that. So definitely, reach out to me in my DMs. I'm really good with responding. And, I love talking about this stuff all the time.
Yeah. And I heard that you started a YouTube channel. Do you want to go ahead and do a little self-promotion there?
I love you, Raquel. Yes, I started a YouTube channel recently, just like 3-4 weeks ago. And basically my goal with YouTube is to just share everything that I've learned in my life about whatever topic and just share it with the world, as well as learn from the world and, kind of feed off of that. So yeah, so I posted, some fun videos. So go ahead and check them out. One of them was like being first generation Indian and like struggles and perks that come with that. One was like a leg day workout where you don't need a gym or equipment. So check that out as well. But yeah, it's a really fun outlet for me. I mean, I watch a bunch of YouTubers and I think that it's a great way to, just build a community, especially in a time where we can't physically be with each other. Like what a better way than to like put out content and then actually talk to people in the comments and actually like just meet people. Like it's super fun. So yeah, Somya Prakash on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe, like, follow.
Yeah, no, definitely, guys. She is awesome. She's amazing. And I love following her content. I think it's great. But yeah, so that's the end of my podcast episode with you.
Yeah, this is so much fun. I'm so happy that I was able to join today.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this. I think that you have some great tips in here and some great advice for people who are trying to start off a healthier lifestyle. So yes, thank you so 100%. Much for joining me.
Thanks, Habibti. I love you.
Love you too.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.